Hey everyone. So I was actually kind of interested in trying again with sort of this hand wire heavy cultivator type list. I certainly don't think this is optimal. I think if you're trying to build the best amulet list right now, I'm still kind of going Karn for competitive things. But I am kind of just interested to see how many of the big cards I can fit into a single list. So this is similar to the last list I ran, only now I'm doing 2 Talaria West and a breeding pool and 2 fetches. I'm down to 2 basics. So my thought process here is I'm just going to not respect Blood Moon, so no Foundation Breaker type effects. I'm going to have Force of Vigor being my answer to Blood Moon if I run into it. I don't really see a lot of Blood Moons, and so, yeah, just cutting that and just seeing what is the most number of just big things I can slam in a list. So the list has, if we check here, it has 33 lands. So heavy on the lands, heavy on the ramp spells, heavy on the big things, and we'll see. We'll see how that goes for us. We're just trying to play lands and slam sort of big stuff. I cut Lair of the Hydra to make room for the blue sources. But Lair is a little less important with the second Talaria West. Yeah, I think I can work with this. I think I'll bottom Grazer since the Explorer should be enough ramp, and Grazer's good against Lurrus decks, but I think I just want to draw one of my, I've got these. I've got essentially like 17-ish Primeval Titan type cards in the deck. So, the idea being, hopefully I top deck pretty well as far as just trying to get Primeval Titan effects. So it looks like we're against probably red-black Lurrus. Usually Grixis wouldn't play like the Den. So even though it hurts me, I'm gonna play out the Turntimbers because I don't want it to be hit by a discard spell. Because that's the one threat that's currently in this hand. And basically any ramp is very good for us. So I think my plan, assuming I draw a blank, is to go Amulet, Bounce Land, Plane Explorer, bouncing the Turntimber, and then, oh, okay, so that's what they're doing. I guess I'll just card the Wooded Foothills, which is something nice that we're able to do because we let on the Turntimber, which we otherwise wouldn't have been able to. Yeah, so we'll go land into Bounce Land, into Explore, into probably Saga. Yeah, Saga. We can start making tokens and maybe move towards getting a second amulet so that we can keep more lands in hand when we Turntimber in case we hit Colossus. If they have like a Thoughtseize, that'll be pretty good for them. If they have another Kolaghan's Command, that'll be very good for them. Croxa. I think I can discard Simic Growth Chamber since Vesuva can be a bounce land if we need it to. It's more versatile. Okay. So theoretically we will have 2 amulets next turn. So I'm going to play out the Turntimber so that they can't discard it. It does mean less lands in hand for a Cultivator Colossus, but I mostly just want this to resolve. And we also just have a lot of threats we can draw too that would be great as well. Torak's pretty bad for us, but at least we saved our threat. And if they attack with the Ragavan, I'm happy to trade a construct for the Ragavan. So we are in kind of a tight spot. We do need a bounce land pretty badly. But we at least have blockers. So my plan is to kind of hang back, block things, and hopefully eventually draw a bounce land. Castle would also do it since we have the double amulet. We could Pact for Titan. Well, now it won't because we lost the pact. So yeah, we really specifically need a bounce land. We've discarded 1, 2, 3, and we've drawn 1. So we are kind of light on the amount of bounce lands we have left. Playing this out, I think there's a good chance we're gonna be hit by more discard spells, so want to get some lands in play. Just hoping to just wait and eventually get a bounce land. That's the plan. This list does have 10 bounce lands, so what happened? Oh, they put Lurrus in hand? Okay. Well, we'll put out the Saga. They can play Lurrus and start bobbling, but it's not a big deal. I think we're just gonna sort of try and make multiple Primeval Titans the moment that we get a chance. We are getting a little bit closer to 6 mana as well, so maybe drawing a threat at this point isn't too bad either. Just like any land and a threat. Our bad draws right now are Dryad, Azusa, Amulet, and Grazer. But Dryad, Azusa, and Grazer, at the very least, are blockers. So, yeah, so this probably means they have a removal spell for one of the constructs. So, like, they will probably cast a removal spell on this construct and then we'll lose this construct, but that's fine. Or I guess maybe they're just escaping Kroxa. Is that the plan? I mean, that's also fine, because they have to exile things, so they can't bring things back with the Lurrus. They can't get their bauble back or anything. And Kroxa, it does deal 3 damage a turn, but we can block the 6 at the very least. It's not like we really had a choice to not block there. Azusa, I'm just going to let this save us 3 life. Maybe even go for the double block. I don't expect it to work, but at least force them to use mana and a removal spell, so you know, our Titans are better when we have them. game had a promising start, but is it's kind of going bad. Torok really hit us hard. Okay, they're letting this happen. They can still Lurrus and start replaying Kroxa, but I guess they do have black thanks to Urborg to do it, so they can start hitting us for 3 for every 2 mana that they have. So we basically have 1 turn to draw bounce land, I guess. Maybe I was supposed to let Kroxa stay. Maybe it's actually less threatening to us on the battlefield than in the graveyard. Okay. So if they don't have another land, we're not dead. So I guess we'll wait and see. We have 1 turn to draw a bounce land. We need to the Turntimber to hit the Titan. We need them to not have a land or a lightning bolt. So a lot of things have to go right. Yeah, now we're just dead. They can just play the Kroxa twice and we die. I guess I'll leave the card in hand because there's a chance they don't go for double Kroxa since we have a card in hand. But if they just lead on casting Kroxa, I'll just concede. Culligan's command making us discard and destroy an artifact. That also does it because then they can attack in. We also can't haste Titans if we draw them once the battlements is gone. Okay. Yeah, Torak was well timed for them. So I want the Endurances and the Bajuka Bog. Probably the Engineered Explosives. I'm going to shave on a Saga because I think they'll bring in Alpine Moon. I'll shave on Cultivator Colossus because they do a lot of discard. And maybe Engineered Explosives isn't that impressive. I don't know. Might be nice to just have something also that I can transmute 4 off Titan against scary board presence. So where am I sitting at? $33 lands. Could cut a Grazer, but I kind of like Grazer against Ragavan. Could cut on an Amulet since they're like a K-Command deck. Yeah, an Amulet's also not great in top deck wars, so I'll shave 1 Amulet. I guess I have to do 1 more card. Probably a land. What's my worst land? Maybe 2 Sagas out. Saga did save us a lot of time that game, but it gets a lot worse post-sideboard. I'll keep this. We get to lead on the amulet, and then we get a, we can endurance at some point. We've got the castle, which means, like, we'll have Titan mana when we eventually draw a Titan. I assume this Titan's getting Thought Seized. I want to shock myself to play the amulet. Yeah, so I don't expect this Titan to stay in hand. I imagine there will be some sort of disruption happening. Okay, Titan's still in hand for now. Guess I'll play another amulet, play a castle, and pass. Would love to see just like a Kroxa, just not Thoughtseize, really. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get Handwire plus Talaria West. I don't expect the Titan to be able to be hasted, but there's pretty high upside here and pretty low downside, since I don't really want to transmute into a Thoughtseize anyway. I can bounce Breeding Pool. I'll play Simic Growth Chamber to bounce the Talaria West, so I'll have plenty of blue mana. Yeah, so the plan is here get Talaria West Handwire. So our upside land and our downside land, I guess. No need to float mana. Nothing to do with that mana. Terminate, probably. But we're well set up for next turn. There could be like a K command coming. Like destroy an artifact, make us discard. Probably discard maybe Breeding Pool. Maybe Sanctuary. Lurrus to hand. Okay, well that's good news for us. So we can transmute here. Get a Summoner's Pact. I think Titan's better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the Titan. I'm going to get 2 bounce lands and play the Turntimber and haste the Titan. So I'll get Gruul Turf, Simic Growth Chamber, make 8 mana. Get Dryad, haste the Titan, get double Valakut, and that should be lethal. Yeah. So opponent kept a hand without Thoughtseize, and that's not something they can really do against this deck. Maybe I want Obstinate Baloth. Yeah, they do have a lot of discard. Yeah, I'll bring that in on the draw. Don't really want to go down lands. Endurance isn't super great against them. Maybe one copy just as like a nice packed target is a good place to be with Endurance against this deck. I want to keep up my like top ends as well. I'll keep this. It's pretty slow, but it's also like every card in the hand, like all the lands tap for 2 mana, and then we have redundant ramp and redundant threats. So we're like pretty good against Thoughtseize or Inquisition. I mean, if my opponent went turn 1 Ragavan, we might not be feeling great, but yeah, against this turn 1 Inquisition, I don't really care about losing the Dryad. I'd mostly like the Explorer to resolve. Saga's not a bad draw. If it gets Alpine Mooned, that's sad, but we can live with it. Dryad also pretty good. Given that we drew the Dryad, maybe I want to bounce the Saga to play around Alpine Moon. No. I'll bounce Castle. It's good for me to have... I don't want to play just too safe. I can always also just draw an untapped land and be able to play the Dryad. Oh, Bojuka Bog exiled. That's actually relevant for me to pay attention to. Yeah, they might not have the Alpine Moon, and if they don't have the Alpine Moon... Like, also they had 2 mana up, so they might have wanted to preemptively play the Alpine Moon if they had it. I don't know. Croxa. Don't know what I want to discard here. Weirdly, I'm thinking about discarding the Dryad and then just playing Castle and making a Saga token. Yeah, I think I'll do that, actually. There's, like, heavy incentive for me to keep lands in hand with this Cultivator Colossus. And, like, I'm afraid of, like, a single Thoughtseize just taking me off all threats. If they want to use a removal spell to force through Ragavan, I don't really care. I'd really just like to play this Cultivator Colossus next turn, and then I think I just win. So... bad things that could happen. Torak's pretty bad, but like as long as the Torak doesn't specifically discard both bounce lands, I think Torak's actually okay for us. Alpine Moon would probably be the worst thing that can happen. Holy Heat's fine. Yeah, so definitely looks like we're being rewarded for playing out this saga. Even if they have, like, Culligan's command to destroy the amulet, the fact that we get down the Colossus probably means we're just going to have so much resources to work with. If they Culligan's command doing destroy, discard, I think I'll discard Dryad since we have the packs, and honestly, like, if I need a Dryad, I can always pact for it. Yeah, I'll discard Dryad. And I'm going to bounce the castle. It develops our mana better to do it this way. So hopefully this Colossus develops our mana well and draws us a few cards. We could whiff, but yeah, I mean, that's sort of a whiff, but I mean, even our whiff looks good. No need to exile the graveyard just yet. Like, no need to endurance them just yet. We do have they don't have 4 mana for the Kroxa. Thoughtseize is okay. Really wish they hadn't exiled our Bajukavog, because that's the land I would most want to grab off Titan. Assume they're just going to take the amulet, or they're just going to concede. I don't know. Either, both of those are equally likely to me. They take the Titan. Do they have, like, Chalice of the Void? Pithy Needle? Sure. I guess for Handwire? Or for Talaria West? Urza's Saga? Yeah, that doesn't do anything. So I'll get Handwire, and it doesn't really matter. Concession time? Yeah. I think opponent saw the way things are going. Cool. Yeah. I think, like, in a meta full of, like, discard as the main disruption, just having a million threats in our deck really makes our average top deck in that kind of matchup quite good. So yeah, I think this there might be, like, some legs to this version of the deck, and I want to keep exploring with it. Alright, I'll see everyone for the next round.